What's up, everybody? MattieC Sports for you and me. Got a very special guest today. So we have never had a baseball player until today, folks. So glad it's this one. I was introduced through a friend, and he's told me nothing but good things. Former relief pitcher Steve Delabar, and Steve, how are you?
I am fantastically well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm actually wearing a Toronto Blue Jays hat in honor of you today. So
I
just
love
letting you
it.
know. So I just wanted to go through. So it must have been amazing just being in all different types of baseball fields. I mean, Fenway Park. I mean, Yankee Stadium. Even where you were in Toronto and in Texas. I mean, what's it like being in a major league stadium?
You don't realize um, how tall they are once you get in there. I think the very first major league game I ever went to was after I signed. I'd never gone. I live about 2 hours south of Cincinnati, and never went to any games because I was always playing during the summer. So my schedule was filled up during the baseball season. So I never really got away to go watch ball games. So when I signed with San Diego in '04, we got tickets to a game on an off day and went over to the Diamondback Stadium and went over there and actually saw Randy Johnson's 4,000 strikeout, which that was pretty cool.
Wow, that's really cool, man.
But yeah, all the stadiums going to, they're just every one of them has their unique characteristic. Like Fenway has the wall and the old, bleacher seats, and
Hmm.
then I never got to go to the old Yankee Stadium, but just each one of them has their little things, and everybody always asks, "What's your favorite?" and it depends on what you're asking about because like playing like field conditions. Um, I would say I tell people I said Oakland probably has the best grass that I mean, we'd go out for stretch and sit down there on the grass and just like this, I could lay here, I could sleep on this stuff. It's so plush. But that was during the baseball season. Once they overlap and had
Hmm.
the two sports there, the football players and the cleats, they beat it up a little bit. But the field crew did an amazing job. And then, but just aesthetics. I played in Seattle, um, and I really really enjoy that ballpark. Just because it's an open air dome. So the roof contracts and you still got the cool air coming through there, but you don't get wet. And
Yeah,
then
that's great. Yeah.
Kansas City's another good one because they have the water fountains, and it's just really really unique. And I mean, I can go on and on about every single one that I went to, um, because every single one of them is different, and you don't go, oh, I wish they did it like this. I wish they did it like I wish Toronto had it like Baltimore. No, 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 no. Each one is their own individual one, and you appreciate whoever designed it, and there's obviously there's flaws to anything, but that's what
Mm.
makes the stadium the stadium. So
Right.
I really enjoyed being all around and traveling to each one of those.
Yeah, I mean, you got the best of both worlds. You got the American League and the National League experience, and like you said, I mean, like you see, you see Kauffman Stadium. I mean, there's water fountains, and then like you go to Chicago, either one, but like you see, Wrigley Field for its like legendary like history of how long it was, and that must have been really cool stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that seems really cool to travel all around those stadiums. But my big question for you, which I don't, is when you were in the minors, was it kind of like a Bull Durham type of life for you, or was it like, I don't know if you've seen The Rookie before with Randy Quaid, but like, was life like that? Like, what type of like stuff do you deal with when you're in that standpoint in minor league baseball?
So when you play and you watch those movies, you're like, oh, come on, that's it's far from the some of them are. really far away from what it actually is.
Hmm.
And but Bull Durham is really close with the traveling on the buses, being packed in there, and rosters, they can only have so many players that are active, but you may have a couple other players that are there that could be on the disabled list, or what do you call injured list now. Um, so you may have some things where you're carrying extra players, or you maybe have uh, an extra staff member, or some, so you're limited on the amount of seats that are available, so you're crammed on there, and it's you're driving 8, 10, 12 hours if traffic is bad. And
Oh my God.
but but you sleep, so you find the best way you can to get comfortable, and then check into a hotel at crazy early in the morning, and then sleep till they say, hey, bus leaves at whatever time, and you get over there and you go through your routine, and then you get ready for the game that night. So it's a lot different in the minor leagues than it is in major leagues. In a major league game on travel day, you play your ball game, like a
Hmm.
1 o'clock game, and then you finish the game, you shower up, you head to the airport, and you leave that night, and you get into the city that night. The only bus travel is from the airport to the hotel, or to from the stadium to the airport, and then from there to the hotel. So it's But on the minor leagues, you don't leave till the morning. So some of them you leave after the game, some of them you don't leave till the morning, but they got a budget in there where they're not having to pay for 30 extra hotel rooms,
Hmm.
so it's still a business, so you gotta have some balance there.
Right, right. And you know, you must like it must be really hard to like get loose to start pitching like that. I mean, was that a struggle sometimes after like, taking a 12-hour drive? I mean, that must have been absolutely crazy. And then
I say 12 hours. 12 hours would be extreme.
yeah.
I'd say if there was something crazy like that, held up the bus, I'd say at most in one trip, maybe 9, um, but nothing more than that. I can't I can't think of anything that may have been. I remember we went from trying to think. It was, I think, Scranton
Electric
to
City.
Scranton to Lehigh Valley. So it's, I guess it's like all the way across.
Pretty much all Pennsylvania.
Right, we just travel across the whole thing, and that took a while. Oh no, we did another one. We went from Norfolk to Durham. Um, those are obviously two separate trips, but those are two. Those are 6.5 to 8 hours, somewhere in there. They
Wow.
were long, yeah. And I think
Unbelievable.
I remember we got stuck in traffic, so that kind of held everything up. And you're kind of, in the first hour and a half, you're talking with your buddies, playing cards, just hanging out, and then kind of doze off. Maybe they have a movie on, and then you kind of just zone out for the middle part of it, and then kind of get excited when they say, "Hey, it's we're supposed to be there at this time," and then you get close, you start getting all your stuff ready, and then you still got 3 more hours.
Oh man, I
Yeah,
like telling that's like your parents telling you, "Are we there yet?" And you're like
yeah.
waiting for that one thing. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, from you like you said, from major league life, I mean, you pretty much saw all that stuff. But I saw in did you play in Japan as well?
I did. Yep.
How was it like that? Is it absolutely just insane, like fan
It's
wise and everything?
The fans are good. They're extremely. They're like any other fan that's got their home team. They're very, very loyal. The ball games are crazy because they even have it listed as you go into the ballpark, and they say, please show respect to the other team. Uh, if you are in their section, please, like, refrain from, because basically both teams are separated. There's
Mhm.
on one side and then the other. But occasionally you get tickets, or maybe a friend has tickets, but you're a fan. You wear the different colors, and they're chanting the whole game, and it's just it's pretty cool. But it's the game itself is it's a little different.
Mhm.
They bring foreign players, Dominican, Puerto Rican, American, Canadian. They bring foreign players over to change the style. They bring the power over there because most of what they do is speed, um, and so very rarely do they have a Yu Darvish or a Shohei Ohtani. Those guys are rare. So those guys that are throwing 93, 96, 97, they don't stick around very long. And then the majority of their guys are, um, probably in the you know mid to upper 80, low 90 in that area, and then have a couple that they'll run it up there. But your your foreign players are the ones that are 93 to 100, and but their whole culture is a little bit different. We want to
Mhm.
work on, quality is more important than quantity. You don't want to overwork and tire yourself out, and you want to be able to have that top end. And they're the reverse. So they're reps and reps and reps and reps, and they are very very good at repeating most of the things that they do. Um, but the style and everything, it's a complete change, and it can be sort of nerve wracking when you've done something for so long, and
Right,
and
right.
for them to say, for them to play a certain way, you're like, this is, you almost say this isn't the way it should be played, but this is the way they've always done it.
Right.
So you gotta kind of adapt your style to their game, and kind of mesh with them, but also still provide the same, provide what they brought you there for.
Right. And I'm sure in the major leagues it's a lot different. And like you said, I think it's just more like a culture and respect kind of thing. They don't want any trouble with stuff. Like, I mean, I mean, if the Red Sox come to New York, they're gonna have problems. If the vice versa, the fans fight. I don't think it's as bad as when you played, but I mean, it was not fun for to bring your kids over there and you see people throwing beers at each other and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
that stuff's a little excessive. It's like the fan that, because you go to ball games and it seems like you get the one guy in the stands that probably has too many beers, and he's the guy that's the loudest and just starts yelling at players and saying the most random things. It's like, you have nothing better to do than come here and yell at us. So it's, yeah, so some fans are good hecklers, and then there's idiots. So you just,
absolutely. And in Boston, I've seen it myself. I went to a playoff game, and it was Carl Crawford was on playing the monster, and I heard people saying, like, really really derogatory stuff to him, and coming lo and behold 2 years later he plays for the Red Sox. It's like it's just crazy how fans can become, and I've seen the bad side of it. And I mean, there's kids all around. It's not right. And you know sometimes park security can't take care of that stuff.
right. Yeah, it's I mean, kids see how, some people treat players and they think, oh, that's how I'm supposed to do it.
Hmm.
So we would be in the bullpen, and the kids always come down and ask for a ball. And you get some kids who are rude and they say, give me a ball. And we're like, no, get out of here. And then another kid comes over nice, and he's like, hey, can I please have a ball? And you're like, hey, look, some manners. Here you go. And they're
Yeah,
like, hey,
right.
I didn't get one. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't take much to be nice.
Yeah, manners,
Um,
what's that?
yeah. Hey, you, give me a ball. And then people would yell at you thinking you can't say anything back. And then you start talking to them, or fire back at them and ask them a question. And they're like, put them on the spot, and they don't know what to do.
Right. And it's the funny thing, Oakland came to Fenway one time, and me and my wife were in the pouring rain. It was for her birthday, and we were right behind the Oakland bullpen. And so I did the classy thing and I said, it's my wife's birthday. Can we get a ball? And he's like, and I don't know who it was. Was it I forget his name. Anyways, he didn't have any baseballs for me, but he gave me his brand new can of Skull, and I go, oh, okay. And then he gives me a Red Bull, and I was like, okay, this is the oddest thing I've ever gotten from a bullpen, but it's the only thing I got from a bullpen. So
Yeah.
I guess it was classy enough for them to give me
Hey,
that.
did your wife take a dip?
No, she did not. No, she did not. But that probably got me into trouble when I started dipping.
Oh
So
no.
so I'll find out who that reliever was. Oh no, it was Grant Balfour. That's who it was. Grant
Oh.
Balfour gave me a can. And so thank you, Grant. You really helped me out at that point. So yeah. But anyways, my next thing for you, I mean, when you were playing in when you made the All-Star team in 2000, was it 2013? I wanted to
Yes,
make
it
sure
was.
I was right.
Yep.
How was it in that bullpen with all those legends, including Mariano Rivera?
Well, Grant Balfour was there.
He was.
He was there. But the game, you just like any other game,
Hmm.
you show up and you're there to do your job. Now it's a different stage because there's all these big names and the everything surrounding it, but you still have to get in there. You have to do your routine. You have to you can't change anything because what got you there is what got you there. So there's no
Hmm.
reason to change anything and do anything different. Just do what you're supposed to do. And but uh, so we got to the bullpen, and most everybody got down there at the beginning of the game because we weren't sure when or if we may get in the game. There's a lot of guys that are just hanging out because they're injured or they just pitched the day before, so they're um, probably not going to be used, but they still want to go and enjoy hanging out. Um,
Hmm.
but the we get down there and it's Mariano's last year, so we're like, okay,
Hmm.
he's the only guy that knows he's going to pitch today. So he goes through his routine. He comes down in the third inning, maybe, and nobody says anything to him. It's kind of like, oh, it's Mo. It's like, you got to leave him alone. He's got to do his thing. And I was like, I can't take it. I got to. So I go over and I just start asking. I said, you've been playing a long time. I said, are there any bullpen games, like things that you do to keep you busy in the bullpen? And then he's like, huh? And then he's like, he just kind of like huddles everybody around, starts telling little stories about, when he first started playing and how how things changed throughout his career. Like he did, somebody slapped him one time and he said he smacked him, like just reached back, just to, backhand him. And he said the guy's elbow hit him right in the top of the hand. He said his hand was numb for like 3 days. He said, I never ever messed around the bullpen again. So that was one thing. And then, he just told little stories. But I was like, I can't take it. Because until it's go time, it's mostly random conversation. Uh, um, a lot of what ifs. You try to play the GM, the manager. You try to do all the scenarios in your head, and
Hmm.
that keeps you in the game. So as you're sitting down there and you start to see how things are going, and then you start to see how the manager uses guys, then when you're going in. You don't even have to wait to hear who they say, hey, get going. When the bullpen phone rings, you know who it is. So you can start to see, when a reliever or a starter that's in there, they're running the end of their pitch limit or they just don't have it that day. You just know,
Right.
Whose name's coming out the end of the phone.
And you got the call on you were in relief that day, weren't you?
I was.
And
Yeah,
you struck out Buster Posey, didn't you?
I did.
That
And
must have been cool.
It was, and the thing is, usually the bullpen coach, and I think we had several that day, but there's so many guys on the bench. There's no roster limit, I don't think. So you just have all these players, and you don't know who's coming off the bench. You don't know who's in the who's in the lineup, but they sub guys in and out. They try to. It's like a little league game. They try to get everybody in there because,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
me, it's my first time. So you want to get guys in the experience and just get everybody in. You want to try to win the ball game because they have something on the line, but you also want to. I mean, everybody's there for a reason. They're playing
Right.
well. Everything's so it's not like you have a bunch. I don't know if I want to put that guy in there. No, everybody's there. Everybody's good. So, but yeah, they got me up, got me in, and but as I was jogging in, usually on the banner between like maybe the first level and the second, there's like the I don't know, I guess the banner, and usually tells you who's up. And all it was flashing was like All-Star Game or some commercial ad. And okay, I had no idea. So then, so I get in there, warm up pitches, and there I go. But like I said, it wasn't who I was facing. It was just what I needed to do and just do my job. If I locate my pitches and do what I'm supposed to do, then usually things go well. It's when the difference between low level minor league players and big league hitters is the strike zone judgment. Like the big league guys know the zone, and then also the big league guys very rarely miss mistakes. Like they can pick it up out of your hand. They know that ball's up in the zone, so they can crush that. So they recognize those mistakes early and they hammer them. So that's why you do your best to make your pitches and just compete.
Do you happen to remember what pitches you threw him?
Yeah, what got me there was fastball splitter to the All-Star game because I think I had quite a few strikeouts at that point in the season, and but my splitter wasn't doing anything in warm-ups, and I'd never thrown to Salvador Perez was the catcher, and I'd never thrown to him before, so he's only going to call what looks like it works. So he called slider, and I ended up striking him out on a slider. So his fastballs and sliders only. And but the hitter doesn't know that's my third pitch. He one of the best things I ever heard anybody ever say was, they do the intentional talk, and Kevin Millar was on there, and a lot of the stuff he just talks, right? He just talks and talks. But he said, you could be like Michael Jordan in the playoffs. The other team doesn't know he's running a fever, doesn't know he's thrown up, he's done all that stuff. The hitter doesn't hit how you feel; they hit what they see. So if you show up and you could be, they can have 750 players at a time in the big leagues. So you could be number 750, and the hitter could be number 1. But that hitter is only hitting what he sees. So it happens all the time. The lowest number on the totem pole beats the best all the time. So it's just you show up, you do your job, and you stick around.
Yeah. I mean, Buster Posey wasn't a joke either. I mean, he used to crush the ball, and like you said, even though it's not for really much, I mean, it is and it isn't. But like for the All-Star game, like you're trying to at least in his position get a base hit or crank one, and for you, it's like trying to get what you need to do, strike out the side, or strike this guy out before you're taken out, like. That must have been awesome, like getting to achieve what you wanted.
Absolutely. I came off the field and I kind of laughed, and it was like, well, that really just happened, because after the inning's over, it's not like I'm going back out. There's plenty of guys in the bullpen that need to get in, and so I laughed. I I'll go back to the video. I had my glove over my face, and I was like, that really just happened. And
That's
it
awesome.
kind of sinks in. It's like, okay, wow, I'm here. Okay, I just woke up, right? You know,
Yeah,
I woke
yeah.
up from the dream, and here I am. This is crazy. And somebody asked me that before, because pitching in the AL East, you're not playing against, you know, the, no, I'm gonna say lower teams, but I mean, you got the Red Sox, the teams that usually spend some money to bring in big players, and their objective is to win, 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 win.
Hmm.
So, you know, when you're playing Boston and New York 18 times a year, and you're facing those hitters, and it's like, somebody asked me whenever, like, Big Poppy was there, like, what do you think about whenever you're out there and you're pitching? And I said, picture, you know, one of these people that's on a tightrope, and they're walking, and they're, you know, 1,000 feet above the ground. They don't go, oh my goodness, I'm 1,000 feet. No, they're focused one step at a time, stay balanced, do what they're supposed to do, because they'll get to the other side. The moment they realize where they are, they panic, and then it throws them off. So if you, like you mentioned, talking to younger kids, um, and everybody wants, oh, I want to get to the big leagues. Well, you don't get to the big leagues just snap of a finger. It's a
Mm.
little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and eventually your routine and your process and everything comes together, and you become that better complete player. And that's what gets you to the, you know, to the higher levels, is not being, you know, going out and going 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. It's being consistent,
Right.
and just keeping steady. You know, had coaches all the way through, and they're saying, stay away from the peaks and the valleys. You know, you don't, it's good to be, you know, ride that high, but there's also the low that comes. So, you know,
Right.
you see guys who go in slumps, and I mean, it's even on the pitching side. Pitchers go through slumps, um, where, you know, some guys have, you know, like Kershaw, um, where they they always say, oh, he struggles in the playoffs. Does he? I mean, I think he does well, but he has that, you know, that one inning. Oh, and they're like, oh, here it goes again. And David Price, um, when he was with us in Toronto, um, the year before he went to, I think before he went to Boston, he um, he was pitching against Kansas City in the playoffs, and it was like unbelievable. And then he just had a random, just wild inning. They're like, oh, he's got bad. Like, here he goes again. Like, there's more to it than just one player. So it could have
Right.
been, you know, a couple bad bounces. Like, it just, nobody has just that amount of, you know, bad luck, just to have just that happen over and over and over. So, um, but talking about the kids, it's just, you know, just your process, and how you do everything, you know, day by day, and just be consistent.
Right. And the kid will probably have, if you want to come back on the show. This kid who I know through his father, he's aspiring to be a professional league player. I mean, 9 years old, joining, like, you know, those travel teams and stuff like that. I mean, he doesn't get pressure from his parents or anything like that. It's like, that's the thing with parenting nowadays, like with sports. Sometimes it gets kids so ramped up, like they have to impress their parents and move on. And, you know, I feel like that's a wrong approach. I mean, how do you feel about like that sort of style for a kid?
Uh, well, my son is 6, and uh, so I coached his, like, machine pitch team last year,
Hmm.
and there's a guy on the team who we were in the playoffs, of the league, and he's like, hey, he'll be ready. You know, we were hitting off the tee, and I'm like, he's 6. I said, chill out. I said, you don't want to make it like it's a job. Then when he doesn't succeed, and you get on him, now it's like, oh my goodness, I failed. I'm never getting the big leagues. And dude, you're 6. So you want them to go and have fun. I tell my kids, I got, you know, a daughter also. She's 8, but I tell her, I'm like, you guys go play your game. Like you practice, you can work on things, but you go play your game.
Hmm.
And I say, I want you to enjoy your stuff. You should never go out there and go, I'm only doing this because my parents here.
Right,
My
right,
parents made me come here. Now, early on, there maybe parents say, I want you to try this. And the way I was, if we signed up for it, then we played. Whether we liked it from day one, could have hated it, but we signed up for it. We played the full season. Didn't like it after that. That's fine. But that was the thing. So some kids need to be guided to
right.
things, and then you can kind of see what kids excel at, and then go from there. But some people want to, like I said, kid goes 4 for 4, and they're like, oh yeah, my kid's going to the big leagues. Like, your kid's 7 years old. Got a ways to
Yeah.
go.
And
And so
would you say like 790 baseball players in the major leagues? So better work, work, work.
yeah, that's in the world. 750 active of all the baseball players in the world.
Oh yeah, even
It's
even
a
even more of a
it's a
greater chance, harder chance to get in.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get in and tough to stay, because you got to think of all the minor league teams that are out there, and all those players are going, hey, I'm on the doorstep. I'm almost there. So I want that guy's job. So not that I'm rooting against him, but I'm hoping I do a little bit better and then maybe take a spot, because everybody's trying to get to the big leagues, and everybody's trying to stay in the big leagues. Everybody's trying to get these crazy contracts they're throwing around there now. And so you want to be able to take care of your family and do things like that, playing a
Right.
game that you love. Um, but on top of that, you try to practice your craft the best you can, and be good.
Right. Yeah. So I'll go back to another minor league part of your life. So in Massachusetts, obviously. So you played for the Brockton Rocks. Now, um,
Oh, you better believe it. Oh, I love that place.
yeah. Uh, I heard you were an American Idol of karaoke. I heard from a
uh,
source.
I enjoy singing karaoke. I
Nothing wrong
enjoy
with
the
that.
I enjoy the performance. That's there's more to it. You're up there, you're singing, you're with friends, it's a show. So
Hmm.
you wanna have fun. You wanna get up there and just read words off a teleprompter. No, you gotta get up there and
No,
put on a show.
especially with the person I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun.
Oh, we had a lot of fun.
But yeah, I loved going to Brockton Rocks games. It's just they had their souvenirs and food and stuff was so expensive, but it was such a good game to go over and just catch a game.
Well, that's the thing about independent league baseball, is they don't have a parent team paying the salaries of the players. So anything, the players that are there are, it's all the sponsorships that they get, like the signs and ads that they get, and concessions, ticket sales, all that goes into the players that they bring in. So it's not big league salary by any means.
Hmm.
Most of the guys are trying to stay sharp while playing there, to improve their game, and then maybe get a shot to get back in the affiliated ball to get to the big leagues. Um, and so, but I really enjoyed it. I got traded. So I got released from San Diego in '08.
Hmm.
I got and I was kind of jockeying. Do I wait? Do I wait? Do I wait? Um, so I signed with this team in Florence, Kentucky, which is just south of Cincinnati. So I was like, well, it's closer to home. I'll have family and friends that are close. They'll be able to come watch me play,
Yeah.
which most of them have never saw me play pro ball, because everything's always so far away.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm gonna play here. Family will get to see me, and it'll just be closer to home. And I get traded 5 days later to Brockton.
Oh my God.
So I make the trip from Florence to Brockton. It's 16 hours. I'm pretty sure I drove straight.
Is that one of those trips you had? The
Oh,
12-hour?
oh my goodness! It was. I thought I was never going to get there, and I didn't realize how far up the Northeast was until I made that trip. I was like, it just keeps going. So
Oh,
so,
yeah.
but made that trip, and I didn't have um, I didn't have GPS. I didn't have anything like that. I had a road map.
What's that?
So yeah, exactly. So I'm going, and they have and where I live here, there's not
Mhm.
many toll roads. There's I think they just put one in there. There's a bridge in Louisville, uh, so they have a toll there, but that's it. Most of the roads up there, it's like if you want to get off the exit, you got to pay a toll.
Yeah, exactly.
So so it's like you get your ticket, and then wherever you get off, that's how much you owe. But don't you try to run a card or nothing, because we need. I had I had nothing, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? They're like, take this ticket if you don't return. Like, I'm like, what? So so I end up having get off there, go to ATM, end up paying it, before I got off the next one. But I'm like, this is crazy. I've never done anything like this. But I was like in the middle of somewhere and just trying to get to where I was getting. And I remember I didn't stop much, but man, I just remember when I got out of my car in Brockton,
Hmm.
and I took my first step, I was like, oh my goodness, that's dangerous. Nobody should ever drive that long.
Oh
I
man,
was I was like dizzy, light. I was like, whoa, I can't believe I was driving like that.
yep. It's I can't believe that. That's just crazy. I can't. So with Brockton, I mean, did you enjoy everything around Brockton? I mean, did you go into the city too, around here?
Yeah. The Yeah, I just I mean just being there. I can't remember where I lived. If I was there, I could drive there because I get around by a road map. uh, so, but I really liked it. I had a guy, actually the guy, because I broke my elbow while I was there, and uh, the doctor who did the surgery said sent me a text this past summer and said his son was playing on that field. I was like, oh, cool. And then I had a scout that was up there watching the game. Um, he said, hey, back where a lot of things started. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but people talk about, oh, you played in the big leagues, you did all this. I said, yeah. I said, but I also got to experience some cool minor league cities and some fun experiences. And I enjoyed Brockton, but the people that I played with and the team that I was on, man, it was we had a lot of fun. Um, Typically when you're not winning, then they get players out of there and change it up, and but on that team we had a good thing going, so they kept us all together, pretty much a core group. We switched out a couple players during the season, but
Hmm.
for the most part, we kept the same guys the whole year, and then you form that bond as a team, and I mean, we had a really really good year. We ended up getting beat by Quebec um, in the I think first round playoffs.
Oh, is that the
And
Can-Am League?
yeah,
Okay,
yep,
thought so. Yeah.
we got beat by them. Actually, we played Gagne. Eric Gagne was pitching for Quebec. He was a starter, and
Well,
we
that's an old
beat.
school.
Oh yeah, we beat him up, like just crushed him. And things were going good, and then it was just one of those. It just started, blue pit here, blue pit there, and they ended up coming back and ended up beating us, and it was just like, oh, this is the worst.
Oh, that's crushing.
Yeah, but the people, I can't say enough about the people that I met from Brockton. I love those people. They're great people. I really, really enjoyed it up there.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So my final question, Steve, since I've been talking up a storm with you. So what you take out of baseball, I mean, you seem like you had an incredible journey from the bottom to the top. So, I mean, what else can you say for somebody who's trying to be as determined as you are? Like what kind of tip would you give them to get to this level?
Well, young kids just need to they just need to mature. They need to mature, and whatever you're working on at 8 years old, 9 years old is going to be completely different at 12 and 15, because you got so many, body changes and strength, and a lot of things change, over those years. Now, as say a college kid, find what,
Right, like
um,
college and high school is what I was wondering
yeah.
more.
So college, strength is a big one. High school, a lot of kids are getting into strength programs, and there was a kid a couple years ago. He said, "Oh, I eat." I'm like, "You're 130 pounds. You don't eat. Like you can't expect to have huge output unless you're moving super quick." Um, so he's like, so I had him track his intake with his food, and he started realizing that he doesn't eat enough. So it's just one of those things that you if you're gonna do it, then commit to doing it. And um, I had kids that uh, they tell me, hey, I'm not gonna do baseball anymore. I'm gonna do soccer. I said, okay, well then own it. Own your decision. Don't look back at a couple of years and say, oh, well, I wish I would have done that. Like if you're gonna do something, commit to it.
Right.
So these kids that are like, oh, I'm thinking about going to play pro. No, you don't think about doing it. Like you do it. So if you really, really want to do it, then you'll really commit to it. But you can't
Right.
do anything halfway. You got to be all in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You want to kind of check off all the boxes when it comes to, did I do everything I needed to? Is there anything I could have done better? And improve on the things that you need to improve on. But, really find out what the big league guys do. Do what they do. But the big thing that they do is they're consistent. They show up, they do their stuff. Some of them are extremely gifted, but they didn't just get that way. They had to work to get there. And so the college guys, find what you're really good at. It's like going to school for a certain thing, and then as you do it more often, you get better at it. Like
Right.
like a trade or some type of skill. Once you find that thing that you're really good at, then start working on that. And it may take a while to figure out what that is. But once you find it and you're like, I do this very well, then boom, knock it out. I do this very well, boom, knock it out. And just keep hammering on those things that you do very, very well. And then just repeat them and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them. Because when you do that, now it becomes easier for you. And then you can branch off from there. But you don't need 12 pitches to throw as a pitcher. You don't need to run a super fast 60 or, however they measure your times now. You just need to be consistent. And some college scouts that are out there, they're looking for plus tools. So they're looking for something that, because you got to imagine how many showcases and things that scouts, they go to games, they go to showcases, they go all this stuff, and they see the same thing over and over and over, and they're looking for that. Wow, that wow factor. They're looking for something different. So if it is a kid that just takes off, is it, whoa, what was that? It's just something that doesn't look, something that stands out.
Right.
The kid who can't throw the ball anywhere close to plate, like you mentioned Bull Durham, Nuke LaLoosh, right? Throws the ball off the bull, right?
Yeah.
So the kid throws 100 miles an hour and he throws it out of the stadium. It's like, okay, we can probably get him to where he throws it in a box, but we can't teach that arm.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we can teach him how to throw. So it's building on that. But you gotta imagine somebody's like, well, that guy didn't give me a chance. Well, like that guy has seen you a billion times this year.
Right.
So like if you're just blending in with the crowd, then you'll get lost. So they're always looking for something that stands out because it's a showcase. It's not like in just they don't call it I'm just here to see some guys. No, I'm looking for something that's gonna, because their name's on the line too. So
Right.
if they're putting their name out saying, hey, I got a guy, then they're gonna, okay, show me what is that gonna play? Is what you're showing me going to develop into a major league player? Because most of everybody that they sign, they believe that kid or guy or whatever is eventually going to be a major league player. So they have to see something in that player that will be comparable to something that they've seen in the past. Because a lot of scouts compare, there's a lot of older players or a lot of older guys in scouting, and they all could tell you based on how someone looks, how their build. They say, well, that guy reminds me of so and so, and he throws a ball just like this guy. And they always use those comparisons because, when you write up like your scouting report, and you say that, it's easy to bring up video or whatever on the guy, and like, okay, that'll work. So I think like Charlie Morton is a good example. His delivery is comparable to Roy Halladay.
Mm-hmm.
And in Pittsburgh, they tried to change him and did all that, and it didn't really go so well for him. But he kind of ironed some things out, and it worked out for him. But just like that, they're like, oh, your delivery, your arm slide, all this stuff is really close to Roy Halladay. If we could mirror your game off of him, then you can turn it, maybe be the type of player he is. And I mean, Roy Halladay's, one of those really high up players, but
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you're trying to be really, really close to the best. And then consistency from there takes over, because you look at Derek Jeter. I mean, of course, he was a exceptional college player. He's out of high school, right?
One of the classiest players in Major League Baseball.
Right, but he didn't have the big time power.
No.
He wasn't a burner on the base pass, but he was a very, very, very good baseball player. Extremely high baseball IQ, and he was just got the good jumps. He was in the right place at the right time. There's players who had way more speed, way better arm, more power, but he was the best version of himself. And he did it consistently. He did it year in and year out.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you, as a Red Sox fan, you love to hate him. And after his career, I had nothing but respect for him. He never got in the big brawls and the stuff like that. And what you're talking about with different strength and conditioning and running stuff, and nobody really knows about players like Bartolo Colon, who have an amazing pitches and like crank home runs, and just a different type of, like, who do you compare him to?
Well, I played with Bartolo. I was in my last spring training. Bartolo was there with Texas, and of course, playing as long as he did, you thought his English would be a little bit better, but no. But
Yeah.
you communicate. I mean, you can talk and little things here and there. It seems like he mostly just mumbles when he was talking to me. But he's probably, and people would be crazy about this, but he's probably one of the most flexible people I've ever seen.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
very odd. Like he could probably stand up against a wall, put his leg on the wall, and like do the splits on the wall.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I'm talking
Uh,
flexible. And I mean, he was able to do what he does and not break down because of his flexibility. Usually people, they kind of get stagnant, they don't move as much, and then they're like, oh, I've got achy joints. No, he's extremely flexible. And another guy, I think I saw a video of him recently, and he's still pitching. He's
yep, still
like
pitching.
throwing bullpens and doing things. And it's like Manny Ramirez is still playing somewhere.
He's playing in China now.
Yeah, he's still doing what he wants to do. And there was a guy when Manny was in Oakland, and Manny went to AAA because he's like, I hit. That's all I do. And there were players there, and this is a guy who played for forever, and he's in the clubhouse like begging guys like, hey, let's go hit, let's go hit, let's go hit. This is the oldest guy in the whole stadium, like baseball player wise. It's like, and this guy is like a little kid wanting to go hit. He's like, hey, let's go hit, let's go work on something, let's go do this, let's go. And that's why he's so good, because he's always trying to get better. There's always something that he can get better. And that's usually those guys who are at the top.
Yep.
They're okay, they're happy with succeeding, but there's always something they can do to be better. It's not like they're putting down that they went and had a great game, but the team pays them big to do that. But now if you go out there and you're really, really good, then just show back up and do it again. Show back up and do it again. That's what I'm talking about, the consistency.
Yes, exactly. Well, Steve, I really am honored to talk to you, and I definitely need to have you on again because I have so much more baseball stuff I want to ask you.
Perfect.
Is awesome. Like that,
I'm glad you had
honored
me.
to have. Yeah, I'm honored to have talked to you about all this baseball stuff that the behind the scenes stuff that I didn't know about, and how much you love the city of Brockton.
Oh man, I'll tell you, I after I when I was with either Seattle or Toronto, and we went to Boston, I went back to Brockton. Like,
okay.
I went back. We took a I don't know how we got down there. You know, had a car service or something that took us down, and I had to go back. Like, I mean, to me, because of the people that were there, it was like home. You know, I spent a lot of time there, so it was like, you know, I'm going to see family. So I was so excited to go back and see all the people. Now, I still keep up with a lot of them on social media and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a special place in my heart.
Definitely. Well, hopefully you'll come back and I'll get to meet you in person. Hopefully our buddy Georgie will hang out.
If he didn't, I'd be upset at him.
Well, he'll probably see this one. I'll text him that it was happening.
Awesome.
But Steve, thanks again. And I'll definitely have you on the show. And that young kid definitely wants to meet you. So we'll definitely have to plan something again. And thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Bye.